Special envoy says lack of trust between warring parties hinders efforts of renewing the truce. Yemeni government praises the United States' role in curbing Iran's smuggled arms to the Houthis. Suffering of displaced families in Ad-Dawla province aggravates during winter. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Roshan Fouad. The UN Special Envoy says lack of trust between warring parties hinders efforts of the truce. The UN Security Council held a meeting on Yemen to discuss the latest developments in Yemen. In his briefing before the Council members, Hans Grunberg said that lack of trust between warring parties blocks the efforts to renew the truce. The following report gives more details.
The United Nations Special Envoy for Yemen said the renewal of truce between the internationally recognized Yemeni government and the Houthis remained inconclusive due to a lack of trust. Hans Grunberg, who was briefing the United Nations Security Council on Yemen during a closed-door meeting, said the overall challenge of reluctance by parties to agree on an actual settlement of the conflict was hindering chances for peace. He added that the Houthis imposed preconditions. The government of Yemen faced the challenge of defining its priorities. The United Nations envoy, he warned that the possibility of the new conflict remains real. Since the breakdown in negotiations, United Nations officials have been talking to the warring sides, as well as international stakeholders, to try to end the violence and enact a formal ceasefire. He said it's important to frame the renewal of the truce as the starting point to a comprehensive settlement of the conflict, as it could help build confidence. Besides, compromise will be needed from all move forward, as the country remains in a precarious state of uncertainty. The European Union called on the Iran-backed Houthis to abandon what it called their extremist positions and engage constructively with the United Nations efforts to resolve this crisis. In a statement, the European Union reaffirmed its principled commitment to the unity, independence and territorial integrity of Yemen and its full support of the United Nations peace efforts, as well as Hans Grunberg in his mediation efforts. The bloc urged the Houthis to abandon maximalist positions and engage constructively in talks. Mr. Grunberg shared his concerns over the Houthis' continued threat to international shipping and warned of lasting repercussions that could lead to a deterioration of the local economic situation. The Houthis have hindered the Yemeni government's ability to export oil, a vital revenue source, by launching drone attacks on terminals in the south to deter tankers from loading crude. They have defended their actions, saying it was preventing the theft of Yemen's oil wealth. Mr. Grunberg noted the future of the country should be decided not only by the parties, but by a diverse range of Yemeni stakeholders. He said he is in close contact and grateful for cooperation with Saudi Arabia and Oman, and he added that we have a real and rare opportunity to finally resolve the conflict. We have a collective responsibility to remind the parties to seize the opportunity and to not escalate. The truce would improve the daily lives of Yemeni men and women and take steps to end the conflict and benefit the humanitarian and economic measures to unfold. The failure to reach an agreement to extend the truce would lead to reduced cycles of escalation and violence with predictable and devastating consequences for Yemeni's population.
The Yemeni government welcomed the European Union statement, which affirmed the Union's commitment to Yemen's unity and sovereignty. Meanwhile, the government praised the European Union's announcement to increase humanitarian support to Yemen for the coming year. Yemen praised Washington's efforts in curbing Iran's smuggled arms to the Houthis. This came during a meeting between the U.S. ambassador to Yemen, Stephen Fagan, and the chairman of the PLC, Rashad al-Alimi. This report has more details.
Iranian weapons are still posing a great threat to the security and stability of Yemen and the whole region. The Iranian-backed Houthi rebels have used these weapons to target both forces allied to the country's internationally recognized government and the Saudi-led coalition that supports them. The apparent rearming effort comes as Iran has threatened Saudi Arabia and the United States and other nations over protests calling for the overthrow of the republic's theocracy. Tehran blames the foreign powers for fomenting the protests, which have seen hundreds of people killed and thousands arrested amid a widening crackdown on dissent there. The unlawful transport of weapons from Iran to Yemen leads to instability and violence. Iranian arms shipments are posing a hazard to nearby shipping in the Gulf of Oman, a route that leads from the Strait of Hormuz out to the Indian Ocean. A United Nations arms embargo has prohibited weapons transfers to the Houthis since 2014. Despite that, Iran long has been transferring rifles, rocket-propelled grenades, missiles, and other weaponry to the Houthis via shipments. Though Iran denies arming the Houthis, independent experts, Western nations, and the United Nations experts have traced components seized abroad detained vessels back to Iran.
UNICEF announced the need for more than $480 million to meet the humanitarian crisis of millions of Yemeni children in Yemen. The organization said that the total appeal it launched amounts to $2.6 billion to respond to the humanitarian crisis in the Middle East and North Africa.
لما وديته مركز الصحي بدي يندوا لي تغذية يندوا له علاجات يصرفوا له بديته أنديله بدي يتحسن وضعه على ما كان قبل كان مرة حد حقه عنده تغذية.
يعني في الوقت الحالي مع غلاء المعيشة يلا يكفي. الحوالات هذه اللي نستلمها من المنظمة يعني تنفع، يعني في حالة الضيق تفك لك الضيق.
أشتغل يوما في الأسبوع، صح إن أنا أشتغل بناء، أشتغل يوما في الأسبوع والسلة هذا توفر عن مصاريف كثيرة، ولو قلنا على قدر المشقية مش تكفيش حتى أسبوع. هذه هي زي ما تقول فترة حرب، لو ما ينتهي الحرب شي يصير كل واحد يطلب الله على نفسه، على أهله وعلى عائلته وعلى كل حاجة.
In Al-Bayda Governorate, a citizen was injured in Houthi explosion. Local sources said the explosion caused the person amputation of feet and right hand and the loss of one of his eyes. The sources indicated that the citizen was immediately transferred to the hospital and is in a critical condition. Displaced people continue to suffer, especially during winter. This comes amid cuts of aid announced by international agencies due to funding crisis. The following report has more details.
The citizen Muhammad, who was displaced with his family from the Al-Fakhir area northwest of Al-Dala to the city of Qataba, is attempting to reinforce the tent he lives in order to protect his family and children from the severe cold waves. Such weather may cause this family to contract serious diseases, as has occurred with numerous other displaced families. The IDPs, which number over 7,000 households, complain about a shortage of furniture, appliances, and adequate housing necessities.
Our children are suffering due to the severe cold. We have nothing to use to keep them warm, no covers or blankets.
Reports confirm that approximately 4,800 displaced families live in the Qatawa district, and more than 2,200 displaced families live in the rest of the districts of Al-Dala. These families complain about a lack of food and health care, adequate shelter, and essential services. Approximately 3,200 families in the Qataba district have not received any food aid for several months. Many of these families do not have enough food to get through the day, and they struggle to survive at a time when the world turns a blind eye to their plight.
The governorate of Al-Dala is home to 7,000 displaced families, 4,800 of whom live in the district of Qataba. They live in deplorable conditions that are further exacerbated during the winter time, when families most need food, shelter, and warm clothing. Over 3,200 households have received little to no assistance from humanitarian organizations.
The suffering of many displaced families in Al-Dala Governorate continues due to the unavailability of food and medicine, with every winter exacerbating the present situation.
Coming next. New report says that climate change has pushed Yemenis into breaking points.
أنا خارج ألعب قهوة أصحابي وهو الرمو علينا إن إحنا لو الرمو قعلي أصحابي صاروا يدعوا أصحاب المخيم بزين يصحوا جايبنا. صعب إن معي شي رجل ما أقدرش ألعب مع أصحابي. أبقى داخل ألعب الليل.
أصلاً الولد ما لعب ما بدهم أي حاجة، ولما يشوف أصحابه يلعبوا هما برجل واحدة يتعقد الولد على الحركات والزمن. هذا أثر علينا كلنا الوالدة والوالد.
كنت قاعدة نروح المصيف، كنت ألعب كورة وأجري برجلي وألعب مع أصحابي، بعدين أقص والآن ما أقدرش.
Welcome back. Women in Yemen continue to struggle with male-dominating culture that keeps undermining their role in the society. Such male mindset superiority becomes tougher when it comes to women with disability. Nasim is a disabled woman who has made a career despite all the challenges she faces. More on Nadim's story is in the following report.
The hostage of the two crutches, a description that might be appropriate for the case of Nasim, the struggling woman with a disability, who combined the two pains, according to her saying. Nasim was afflicted with her disability due to her mom's lack of awareness of the need to vaccinate her little girl, in addition to being exposed to violence and bullying at an early age.
Yes, as you said, the pain is doubled. As you can see, we are living in a society that rejects women. I was exposed to doubled suffering, whether by violence or by bullying, because of my disability. Bullies kept telling me, "Why are you pursuing your education? And what do you think you are going to achieve?" in a sarcastic way. Others kept telling me, "You are a woman and you should only get married and stay at home."
Despite all these harsh conditions, Nasim didn't give up and refused to stay aimless because of her disability or because she's a woman who lacks her rights. Our meeting with Nasim was during the activities of the Women's Summit, hosted by the city of Aden in its 5th edition, with the participation of 200 Yemeni leaders. And Nasim is one of those leaders who is looking for ways to alleviate the harsh reality of women with disability.
I want to change people's perspective towards the disabled, and through my fieldwork amid feminists, I figured out that we have the right to live with dignity. Women in Yemen suffer sexism and deprivation of rights. Here in Women's Summit, we strive to merge women and guarantee for them a share in decision-making.
Nasim presents a model for the self-made woman who rejects all kinds of exclusion and marginalization, clings to her dreams, and strives to achieve her ambitions despite all obstacles.
The UN Population Fund stated that $70 million are needed to provide life-saving services to 8 million women in Yemen during the year 2023. It added an estimated 8 million women and girls need assistance accessing reproductive health services and family planning means. Repercussions of the climate change has affected Yemen's environment. The country was already at risk of flooding, drought, and heavy sandstorms. But further damage is being wrought by a surge in deforestation and desertification. The following report has more details.
The International Committee of the Red Cross issued a warning that Yemeni communities are already in crisis mode as a result of nearly 8 years of fighting. According to a report by the ICRC, Yemeni farmers who depend on agriculture and cattle for their survival have seen their livelihoods destroyed by terrible drought, catastrophic flooding, and ongoing conflict, making it even more difficult for them to make a living. Also, UN reports show the number of Houthi mine victims in agricultural areas, which has risen to more than 300 civilians in recent months. The flooding that recently hit Yemen has a huge impact on the agricultural sector, destroying crops and transporting explosive remnants of war to agricultural areas. This will simply worsen Yemen's already dire food security situation, which is already concerning. In Yemen, approximately 19 million people are unable to meet their daily food needs, up from 16.2 million the previous year. That equals to approximately 60% of the total population, up from 53% last year. ICRC stated that the climate disaster forced many families to leave their homes. This resulted in the displacement of over 3.3 million people in Yemen. In addition, a huge number of farmers were forced to abandon their profession due to these droughts. The ICRC analysis revealed that Yemen, like many conflict-affected countries, is disproportionately affected by climate change, and it advocated for more support to help people in coping and adapting to climate change.
The Iranian-backed terrorist Houthi militia forced shops in the capital Sana'a to pay money under the pretext of supporting the city's paving project. The militia threatened shop owners that they will face punitive measures if they fail to pay such obligations. The Houthi General Traffic Department in Sana'a revealed a new statistic of daily deaths and injuries due to traffic accidents. The traffic department said 21 people died and were injured last Monday in the capital Sana'a, and a number of gun raids as a result of 18 traffic accidents. On Sunday, the Houthis revealed that 57 people were killed and injured in traffic accidents. An armed Houthi gang attacked the property belonging to the endowment in Governorate. The looting is the second of its kind in a week in light of the organized looting campaign that the rebels have started against the endowment lands and public property in the Governorate.
Look who we are the dreamers. We make it happen, guess we believe it. Look who we are the dreamers. We make it happen, cause we can see it. It's to the one that keep the passion, respect, oh yeah. It's to the one that can imagine, respect, oh yeah.
Football fans are waiting for tonight's face-off between Morocco and the defending champions France in the semi-final of Qatar World Cup 2022. The thrill is a first of its kind, with Morocco entering the game as the first Arab and African team in the semi-final, and hopes are high that they will make it through France, who are looking for a second trophy in a row for the third in their history. Argentina are through the final after a 3-0 win with Croatia. This will be Argentina's sixth World Cup final and their first since 2014, when they were beaten 1-0 by Germany in extra time. Here is a reminder of the main headlines. The UN Special Envoy says lack of trust between warring parties hinders efforts of renewing the truce. Yemeni government praises the United States' role in curbing Iran's smuggled arms to the Houthis. Suffering of displaced families in Adala province aggravates during winter. The This is the end of the news. It was Roshan Fouad. See you soon.